it's going to be interesting to see. I'm quite keen to see how this plans out.
Welcome to Stage 2 highlights package of the 2019 Tour de Limpopo, which took us from Polokwane to Dzanine, through the majestic valleys of the Kloof Pass, through to the banana plantations in Dzanine. 96.6 kilometers with 1,380 meters of climbing and an 8-kilometer descent to the town of Dzanine. The stage today started outside of the impressive athletic stadium in Polokwane, where the riders gathered, signed on, talked strategy for the day and tactics, and we were visited by the local army marching band who paid the peloton its respects. The 5 leaders' jerseys lined up on the start line before the 15-minute neutral support took us out of town, and the entire convoy lined up behind in support. Today's stage headed in an easterly direction with very little wind of about 7 kilometers coming from the northeast. Temperatures would be around about the 27 degrees Celsius mark, and everyone was well prepared. Other than the straight roads that headed out of town, there were a couple of tricky traffic circles, but the speeds were incredibly high. Slight downhill gradient saw the peloton sitting regularly at 60 kilometers an hour. After yesterday's long 175-kilometer stage that saw some of the stronger teams come into play, today a lot of the lesser-known teams tried their hands at attacking. Trying to separate the field, one by one they launched their attacks, but it was early in the day, only 25 k's in or even less, but there started to be some shapes forming at the front that might signal a worry from the other teams. But there was still a hotspot sprint coming up, and only one on the day. There's time bonus seconds available, and there's valuable points for that green jersey. We came to the town of Nobody, and that's right, you're reading it correctly. That town actually called Nobody, which was just outside the hotspot sprint of the day. Which big names were going to play in that sprint? We had Nolan Hoffman, who had scored yesterday, and we also had the green jersey, Jason Oosthuizen. They would go head-to-head with Oosthuizen, just edging out Hoffman. Shortly after the sprint, as the teams were gathering, we had our unfortunate first big crash of the tour. And as you can see here, 2 of the main jerseys, the green jersey of Jason Oosthuizen and the yellow jersey of Gustav Besson, were caught in that crash. As the two jerseys tried to get back to the field, we can see the replay. Unfortunately, Brad Potheater, who went down, will cause the abandonment of his own teammate, Orion Craig. The next place of interest that we visited on the stage was the Zionist church gathering area that sees the largest gathering of Christian pilgrims every year. 3 million pilgrims gather here every year on the Easter weekend. The Zion City area is just outside the Mopani district, and this is where the climbs of the day begin. The 4-step climb up to the actual King of the Mountains climb started here. We had a gathering of about 5 riders up front, and these riders included H.B. Kruger from Alpha Body Works, David Maria from Team Enza, Proud Beginners, Clint Hendricks from Pro Touch, Travis Barrett from Office Guru, and Callum Ormiston from AC/DC. While the riders hit the base of the climb, the rest of the riders were just going past Zion City. The riders worked hard in their breakaway to establish a gap of about 30 seconds, pushing hard by H.B. Kruger from Alpha Body Works in the red jersey and David Maria in the navy blue jersey. Clint Hendricks, another strong finisher, was up there. But as they approached the top of the King of the Mountains, H.B. Kruger went clear to take the 5 points, David Maria fighting hard for the 3 points, and Callum Brown taking the final points on offer there. Once we crested the King of the Mountains, we were on the escarpment heading towards Hernetsburg. And this is kind of an undulating road of about 8 kilometers with some short, sharp climbs and some short, sharp descents. That would take us to the top of the Mechubuskloof Pass, an 8-kilometer, very technical descent that'll take us down to the banana plantations of the town of Zanin. Last year, Gustav Besson capitalized on the technical descent, putting time into the other riders. This year, he struggled, and separations were formed as we entered the banana fields. While Besson was marooned by about 20 seconds, the teams at the front, mainly Office Guru and Dimension Data, planned their strategy for their attacks. As we crossed the impressive Letaba River, the front riders had about 4 kilometers to go. Still Office Guru, Dimension Data and Enza at the front. Yesterday, Connor Brown was a factor in the finish, so was his teammate Alexander Konashev. But Enza's Stephen van Heerden was there as well. Who was it going to be? In fact, the King of the Mountains jersey, Connor Brown taking the stage from his teammate and Clint Hendricks.
At the end of an incredible stage number 2 for the Tour de Limpopo 2019, the overnight King of the Mountains walks away with the first stage win of his tour. Connor, that was a spectacular stage. Tell us about some of the highlights.
Yeah, definitely the biggest highlight was that descent. It was so fast and it was pretty crazy. So yeah, it was definitely a lot of fun.
And coming down to the line, no one knows tough one for a descend, a downhill finish.
Yeah, I think a lot of the other guys went really early, so I kind of just played it safe and waited till we kind of got to the barriers and then just launched my sprint there.
Gustav, I thought this was going to be your day. You loved this stage, and unfortunately it didn't go that way. You've got a story to tell.
Yeah, no, of course. Would have loved to defend the yellow jersey and try and win the stage again, but unfortunately that's racing, and that's how a bicycle race go.
Obviously, 2 big incidents for you. The first one was the crash and the takedown. Any injuries or any mechanicals? Because you seem to come back from that pretty quickly.
Yeah, I think my chain came off, and then I hurt my arm a bit, but nothing too serious. It's just a bike race, eh?
The final 3 riders of the day. We saw Connor Brown, Dimension Data for Quebec, taking the first place slot. Clint Hendricks from Pro Touch in second place, and Alexander Konashev, also from Dimension Data, in third place. Don't forget to visit us tomorrow for Stage 3 highlights. The tour is far from over. Tomorrow's punishing climb to Coach House caps the stage. Welcome to today's stage 3 of the 2019 Tour de Limpopo. Today's stage takes us from Zanin to the Mojajiskloof along the R36, where we turn right to Gakpane and the large inhabited area within the greater Letaba municipality. Our first real test of the day comes at the 37-kilometer mark. It's a short, steep climb in the 103-kilometer stage. There's 2,000 meters of total elevation gain, but the first King of the Mountains comes at the 37-kilometer mark. After that, we follow some undulating terrain for the next 20 kilometers before we descend the escarpment towards the Zanin Dam. From there, the race heads in an easterly to southeasterly direction until we come to the final climb of the day up the Old Coach House. The Old Coach House climb is about 5 kilometers long and takes in about 400 meters of vertical elevation in the final 5Ks. Stage statistics today, 103 kilometers, 2,000 meters of climbing, temperatures about 27 degrees, with the wind in the east-northeast direction of about 7 kilometers per hour. My name's Kurt Begeman in the commentary booth, and I'm joined today by former Pro Touch rider, or in fact he's still a Pro Touch rider, elite rider, Miles van Musschenbroek. Hi Miles, how are you?
Hi, Kurt. Yeah, it's great to be here. It's got a little bit of FOMO not being in the bunch there, but it's great to see the race from a different perspective.
It's great to have you in the booth today. I know you're going to help me with some identifying some riders and some statistics. Let's talk about what unfolded today in the early parts of the stage today. We had the neutral rollout, which was very short compared to the previous day, and the flag dropped, and we had a move that went away right in the beginning of the race.
Yes, 4 riders going off the front. It was Ruan Deploy from Team Pro Touch. Louis Visser joined him from Team TEG, JP Lloyd from Office Guru, and Herman Keller from Team NCCS. They pulled out a gap of about 30 to 40 seconds. Actually, I think they got up to almost a minute at one stage. They were going for the King of the Mountains, but there was quite a big chase coming from the back. And what we saw is the team... it was Team...
Dimension Data may have gone to the front to pull that back.
Yes, so Team Dimension Data, along with Harbia Kruger's team, Alpha Bodyworks, they were interested in the first King of the Mountains point. So they put in a big effort to try and bring back this breakaway.
So it was interesting at first because we saw, the bunch sort of undecided about the chase. We can see there the gap hadn't quite established the 30-second mark because there wasn't that lead vehicle that was put between the lead breakaway of 4 riders and the bunch itself. That hadn't happened yet. But it did signal to Dimension Data that Connor Brown, who's currently in the KOM jersey, that he would potentially lose out, and HB Kruger, who's in second place in the King of the Mountains jersey, he could potentially lose out. So it was up to them to chase, right?
Yes, Connor Brown was currently on, was on 7 points before the KOM happened. Harbia Kruger was on 5 points, and Dylan Girdleson was in third place on 3 points. There was 5, 3, 2, and 1 points up for grabs at the top of the climb. And that competition very, very closely contended. So there was a lot of interest in bringing this break back. And
today, just a reminder to the viewers, there's no hotspot sprint for the green jersey today. There's only King of the Mountains points up for grabs. There we can see the red jerseys of Alpha Bodyworks working hard with the Dimension Data guys to try and bring back that early move before the King of the Mountains. So we're going to see that footage shortly of that first King of the Mountains points situation. 4 places up for grabs, 5, 3, 2, and 1 for first, second, third, and fourth. And then we have King of the Mountains up for grabs at the final climb of the day, which is the end of the stage up to the Old Coach House. There will be double points up for grabs at the top of the climb for the stage 1. So that might actually change the King of the Mountains classification up quite a bit as well. So Miles, we're on the climb now. This was the base of the climb, and you could see how steep it was. Everyone was out of the saddle, and a short, sharp little climb, maybe only about 1.5K in distance, but definitely pretty steep. And this seems to be the move for the line. Yeah. So this was JP Lloyd attacking for the King of the Mountain, and there goes Harbia Kruger coming over the line in third. So JP Lloyd went for the KOM. He eventually picked up the points. Herman Keller getting second on that KM competition, and Harbia Kruger coming all the way from the bunch and taking third position. That puts Harbia Kruger now tie on points. Wow, so tie on points with Connor Brown. So After the first King of the Mountains of the day, we've got HB Kruger from Alpha Bodyworks Giant, tied with Connor Brown, Dimension Data for Quebec, both with 7 points apiece. This is going to make it interesting at the end of the day in terms of the King of the Mountains jersey.
JP Lloyd getting that first spot in that King of the Mountain is from... Yeah, and we're now into the live coverage. So you can see the pace is high. The bunch is strung out. I think the bunch is all together at the moment.
Yeah, so it looks like we've got a reaction from the skills team. That's the team out of Great Britain with the black, yellow and red kind of Belgian colors to their jersey, and a reaction from Team Enza, Proud Beginners. That's a team with some storied riders on there. Definitely Nolan Hoffman, David Marer, Stephen van Heerden. It's a team that's been pretty active over the first few days of the tour, and it looks like they're not giving up at all. This is a climbing stage. How would you fare a rider like David Marer would do on a climbing stage?
This is David Marer at the moment, putting in a big effort to try and establish a breakaway. David Marer, very aggressive rider. He's very punchy. What I would predict from him is he would try and get into a breakaway to try and get a head start before the big mountaintop finish, towards the finish.
David Marer is an accomplished rider. He's a former Commonwealth Games team member on the track. He's a multiple national champion on the track as well. So definitely a good finisher if it comes to finish between him and the skills rider. I'm waiting to get some race numbers on the guys in the breakaway. I think that's 131. I think that's Dominic Skills. He would be the team leader on Team Velo Skills. A little bit of information about that team. That's a team out of Essex in the United Kingdom. And Dominic Skills, he finished 6th in the Tour of the Wallon, which is a 5-day stage race. And that was earlier this year in the Belgian region. So definitely a guy who's able to go up against the Euros.
You can see the pace at the moment from the bunch. You saw there it was in quite a long line, which shows the pace is quite high. That looks like Herman Keller from NCCS making the bridge across to David Marais and the skills rider.
Well, in this section of road, we are kind of on a bit of an escarpment, so it's going to be undulating, as you can see with the long shot there. It's going to be kind of gently up and down before we take a long gradual descent towards the Zanin Dam. So I think the riders are going to use these changes in topography to try and get away from the group and separate themselves. I know, as a sprinter or as a rider who's not necessarily strong on the climbs, you may want to get away early here and build yourself a little bit of a buffer before the final climb, because the final climb, and Miles, you and I, we drove it this morning, it was super steep. Last 5K, 400 meters of elevation. It's definitely going to see some people lose a lot of time, and the peloton come in dribs and drabs.
Definitely. So what we will probably end up seeing is that a few of the riders from the teams will try and get a head start by being in the breakaway, and then once their GC riders ride across to them, when the racing really starts to happen from the GC contenders, they'll have teammates there to be able to help their GC riders. We can see Louis Visser and an Office Guru rider now joining the three up front. Louis Visser being very active in the first part of today's stage. He was part of that 4-man breakaway in the beginning, and once again he's now with this group of 5.
So Louis Visser, who was part of that 4-man breakaway in the beginning, and Herman Keller, the NCCS rider, he's the rider currently in 3rd position in this little breakaway group. He's the only German rider on that team. So those 2 guys were in the first breakaway of the day, and they are now in the second breakaway of the day. So clearly a mission on their plate today in terms of going out there, getting some airtime or getting some results.
You can see the bunch, they're still quite close. They're not letting this one go away just yet. It's going to be up to the Dimension Data guys to control this race up until the last climb. They currently have the yellow jersey.
Well, and while this breakaway is trying to establish itself and build some time gaps there, let's go over the jersey situation and the results as they were this morning. In the red jersey for the most aggressive rider from yesterday was HB Kruger from Alpha Bodyworks Giant. He's a multi-talented rider. Great rider on the mountain bike, great rider on the road. He is in the red jersey. In the sprint classification, what can you tell me about Jason Oosthuizen, Nolan Hoffman and Gustav Besson? Where are we lying with those 3 riders?
Jason Oosthuizen currently in the green jersey with 16 points. Nolan Hoffman in 2nd place with 11 points. Gustav Besson with 5 points in in third place. Very interesting. There's no sprint points up for grabs on today's stage, so Jason Oosthuizen kind of has that jersey wrapped up for today, and we'll start in the green jersey tomorrow.
Nice. So going into the King of the Mountains, we knew that this morning leading the King of the Mountains competition was Connor Brown for Dimension Data for Quebec. He had 7 points. HB Kruger, Alpha Bodyworks Giant, had 5 points. Dylan Girdlestone from Office Guru Racing, he was in third place with 3 points. We do know that has all changed after that first King of the Mountains competition this morning, and we now have a tie with 7 points between HB Kruger, Alpha Bodyworks Giant, and Connor Brown, Dimension Data for Quebec, both at 7 points. JP Lloyd, with that win earlier today, now climbs up into third place with 5 points, and Dylan Girdlestone now in fourth with 3 points. So that is the KOM jersey. Let's talk a little bit about the Sure. So, while we're on the topic of the King of the Mountains, the final climb today finishes up at the Old Coach House, which is this fantastic hotel part sponsor of the Tour de Limpopo, and it sees the final climb of the day where double points is on offer. It's a fantastic venue. The pictures from here are going to be spectacular. Can't wait to see that. As we get towards the end of the climb of the stage, that we're going to have great helicopter shots, and we're also going to have fantastic still shots, because from our position at the finish line, looking back down the climb, we can actually see a couple of switchbacks, and we can see the plantations, macadamia nut plantations, mango plantations, just a very tropical region here. Looking forward to seeing those pictures come to you at the end of the stage from the finish up here at the Old Coach House. We'll be right back after this message from our sponsors.
Come and experience the elegance of the Coach House Hotel and Spa, a proud member of the Orion Hotel Group. The Coach House Hotel and Spa offers world-class hospitality combined with luxurious comfort in one of South Africa's most tranquil settings. The Coach House is perfectly positioned to offer our guests the chance to explore this lush subtropical region steeped in history. After a day of exploring, retreat to the sanctuary and comfort of this iconic hotel. The hotel features an indoor and outdoor pool, the elegant Sorala Lounge, manicured gardens with walking trails, perfect for escaping the hustle and bustle of city life. After a day of activities, guests can retire to comfortable rooms featuring stunning views, elegant decor, and inviting fireplaces. The deluxe rooms are spacious and decorated in an elegant colonial style. The suites are spacious and offer guests maximum comfort. Enjoy homemade dining at the Zederberg restaurant, known for its impeccable fare, fine wines, and friendly service. Dine in elegant ambience or have pre-dinner drinks at the historic and inviting John Buchan pub, lavishly decorated with heirlooms from the past. The Coach House Hotel and Spa is the perfect venue if you're planning a conference, wedding, or event. Fully equipped with an impressive selection of facilities, the staff pride themselves in doing whatever is necessary to make your event a triumph. Whether it is a large or intimate wedding, the Coach House Hotel and Spa have wedding organizers to suit, with an elegant variety of venues that will turn your dreams into a reality. Rejuvenate at the Coach House Spa, fully equipped with a gym, pool, and sauna. Guests can enjoy a treatment that melts away the stress of everyday life. To find out more about this elegant retreat, please visit www.coachhousehotel.co.za.
I hope you guys enjoyed those pictures of the finish hotel, or the hotel that sponsors part of the race, and where we are located for our finish today at the end of stage 3. I mean, how were those pictures, Miles? I've already planned my holiday vacation back to this region.
Yeah, amazing. It's really great to see the landscape of this region. It actually reminds me quite a lot of Mpumalanga, to be honest. But it's a great area, and definitely a place where we can book our holidays.
Yeah, no, it's fantastic for riding. I mean, the roads look in great condition, and fantastic place to relax after a hard day in the saddle. So we have some riders away.
It looks like that 5-man breakaway has finally established a decent gap. The riders in the breakaway are David Marais from Team Enza, Louis Visser from Team TEG, Herman Keller from NCCS, and the office guru rider Alex Vorsdale also representing there. The skills rider, we haven't got confirmation of his jersey number just yet, but we will let you know who it is shortly.
I think it's Dominic Skills, the team leader. So number 131, Dominic Skills. He is the guy in that break with the sort of yellow flashes, the black jersey with the yellow and red flashes on his shoulders. He's the team leader for Skills. So five-man breakaway. 131, number 131 is Dominic Skills for the Velo Skills team out of the UK. And we also have rider number 166, David Marais. He is riding for Enza Proud Beginners. He is the rider in the navy blue strip. We also have riders number 66 in that breakaway. That would be Alex Warsdale for Team Office Guru Racing. So Warsdale, a rider that you're very familiar with, Miles.
Yes, he's a youngster, very, very talented youngster coming through the ranks. Office Guru offering him an opportunity to race in the Tour of Limpopo. And yeah, we just need to see these youngsters get the opportunity to get to that next level of racing. 44 seconds, the gap to the peloton.
That's great. Talking 44 seconds. At number 43 in the breakaway is Louis Visser for Team TEG Continental as well. As we mentioned that Louis Visser and Herman Keller were in the earlier move today. Herman Keller is the large gentleman in the predominantly white jersey, blue and red colorway there. He's got the beard. He's the big German rider in the breakaway today, very active early on today. So we've got 44 seconds. 44 minutes would be almost the stage over, but 43 seconds time gap for these riders. Great, nice wide shot there, showing the different plantations and orchards of the area. Interesting thing I learnt about this area today is that there's a lot of macadamia nuts grown in this area.
Wow.
Macadamia nuts, bananas, and this morning at the breakfast there was just a plethora of fruit available at the hotel, and a lot of granadillas. In the States, granadillas are called passion fruit, and they're usually just little, they're chopped into halves or quarters and put on the plates as decoration. This morning, they were there for us to eat. It was fantastic. I went to town on the granadillas this morning.
No, that's brilliant. So this 5-man breakaway, no real threat to the GC. So no real threat for Team Dimension Data. You'll probably be seeing them on the front part of the peloton controlling this race now. So yeah, this is the peloton that we're looking at there. Team Sampado in third wheel. So the highest placed rider in the breakaway on GC is Louis Visser, and he's 6 minutes 22 down on the yellow jersey.
And those 2 Dimension Data for Quebecer riders on the front then, number 13 is Martin Lavrik. He's from Slovenia actually. And number 15, Samuel Mugisha, is from Rwanda. So those 2 riders are clearly the domestiques for Dimension Data, going to the front, trying to pull back that breakaway or limit its gain. And we also saw, interestingly enough, Stephen van Heerden and Nolan Hoffman for Team Enza Proud Beginners sitting back there marking because David Marais, their teammate, is in the break.
Funny you mentioned Samuel there from Rwanda. He won the Tour of Rwanda last year. I was in that race. He's a great talent, and yeah,
good
Rwanda,
climber.
Yeah, great climber. Very, very skinny rider, very light, goes uphill very fast.
So he would potentially be an ally for Connor Brown on the finish of today?
Definitely. I wouldn't be surprised if he would be actually looking to go for the stage win.
Wow, interesting. Okay. So different body languages there. Visser in the time trial position with some gaps between him and the other riders in this breakaway. Could he potentially be getting a little bit tired, or do you think he's just doing the rope-a-dope?
No, I don't think he's going to get dropped anytime soon. He's in there for the long run, trying to get a decent gap, possibly putting himself in a position for the stage win.
So we're about an hour and 29 minutes, hour and a half into racing. Today the stage is predicted to be 3 hours long, 103 kilometers. But an interesting thing today, because of the amount of climbing miles, is that the time cutoff time is no longer 20%, it's 25% is the cutoff time margin for today. So I did a little maths earlier and wanted to kind of see what the differential would be on the time gap at 25%. If the winner wins in 3 hours, that means that the other riders have 45 minutes to get in. So if they finish outside of 3 hours and 45 minutes, they will be eliminated today. I can tell you the last climb, coming at the end of 100K, could potentially see guys out of the tour by the end of today with one stage left. We only know of one abandonment so far, and that is Orion Craig, who was a victim of yesterday's crash. Unfortunately, Brad Potgieter went down and for Team Cycle Power. And in a scene of irony, his teammate, Orion Craig, was forced to abandon with injuries. So we're down only one rider in the tour, but by the end of today, we could see other riders fall out of the time limit, the 25% cutoff time.
To be honest, from my opinion, 45 minutes is a long time. So unless you were dropped on the first KOM, I don't think people should be, well, I don't think the riders will be too worried about being outside of the time limit today. To lose 45 minutes on the last climb, it's very unrealistic. But it's still there. It's still motivation to keep going if you have been dropped. So yeah, we'll see what happens at the end of the stage.
I think, one of the things to bear in mind, though, is that we have teams like Team Limpopo who are regional riders. They don't race against the majority of these riders all the time. They were riders that were dropped within the first 100 kilometers on the first 175 kilometer stage. Some of those riders riding the last 40 kilometers on their own, finishing almost half an hour down on that first stage, which was 175 kilometers long. Those are the guys I'm concerned about. Local team there to support the local race. Would love to see them finish. I'm sure they're going to have some finishes, but I know that they've got some riders who only race in this region, and now we don't only have national caliber riders racing against them on their home roads, we have international caliber riders racing against them on their home roads. So those are the guys that I'm concerned about, but we'll see as the stage plays out.
5 guys at the front, the breakaway. Looks like they're quite established. We should see the Commercial car coming in between the breakaway and the peloton quite soon.
All of the riders pretty much, or at least certainly the front two, in that new sort of tuck that Chris Froome has made popular. In third place, David Murray. He's in the Pantani tuck. That's an old school tuck there, going off the back of the saddle a little bit. But these guys looking to get every advantage that they can out of their aerodynamics and take the sort of tension off of the legs on the downhill.
Alex from Team Office Guru putting in some effort there at the front, trying to get this breakaway more established and get a bigger gap.
Just got a time gap at 30 seconds. These guys are right at 30 seconds.
Wow, that shows that the peloton's putting in some effort to try and bring these guys back. It's not established just yet.
And I think that's the race lead vehicle, lead commissaire, who's talking to them, letting them know that they're right hovering on the 30-second mark. Actually, 35 seconds. So it's come down from 44 to 35. And that means that these guys need to step on the gas. Otherwise, when it comes down to 30, they'll move those neutral support vehicles or the commissaire's car out of the way so it doesn't act as a carrot for the peloton to chase. These trees are either smaller macadamia nut trees or they're potentially citrus trees. Macadamia nut trees grow very tall, almost to the size of that tree that we see in the background there. Not quite though, but much bigger tree than the citrus fruit tree. And just nice to know where our food sources come from. I didn't realize that the Zanin area was such a huge supplier of bananas, big banana plantations around here. It'll make me think of Zanin when I go to Checkers in Cape Town to buy my my fruit and stuff like that.
We saw Alpha Bodyworks there on the front helping Dimension Data control the race. That must show that they have some sort of interest in the stage victory today. Seeing that there's double points up for grabs on the final King of the Mountain being the finish line, that might be why they are actually interested in controlling the race.
And why don't we see TEG up there for Mark Pritson? Is that because Louis Visser's in the break?
Mark Pritson is from Office Guru.
I apologize. My slip up there. Mark Pritson is from Office Guru. So, but Office Guru have
They do.
a rider in the break.
They do.
So they're not going to go to the front and help those guys either.
Not at all.
Not at all.
Yeah.
Right. So there's a Rwanda team, Benediction cycling team
Benediction
from
cycling
Rwanda.
Interesting enough, Team Benediction are currently ranked number 1 on the UCI Africa circuit in terms of teams rankings. So they're quite a good team in terms of being nice and consistent throughout all the UCI races. So they're currently ranked first as a team on the UCI Africa Tour.
So you were mentioning that they do really well in some of the tours, Tour of Eritrea and stuff like that, but they struggle here. And you said that potentially that was due to the topographical differences between the tours.
Yes, it's interesting to see teams that they come racing in South Africa. Our type of racing, or the style of our racing, is very different from the races that we do outside of South Africa. It's normally much shorter, much more intense as opposed to the longer stages.
Nice. We'll come back shortly. Just a few words from our sponsors. Welcome back to today's live streaming coverage of Stage 3 of the Tour de Limpopo 2019. Our 103-kilometer stage from Tzaneen to the old coach house up here in the great mountains of the Limpopo region. We have a breakaway of about 5 riders, and my co-commentator Miles is here to tell us a little bit more about these riders in the breakaway.
Interesting enough, one team I haven't seen in the breakaway or being quite active in this part of the race is Team ProTouch. They've missed out on the breakaway. Other than Ruan Deploy being in that first move towards the KOM, we haven't seen much of them. So we might see them come to the front of the race and help control. They're definitely interested in the general classification. Kent Main up there, 9 seconds behind the yellow jersey. So definitely we should be seeing them coming through very shortly.
Right. So interesting to see that this breakaway group of 5 riders is kind of hovering and has been hovering around about the 35-second mark. They were up close towards a minute at 44 seconds at one point, but the main field keeping them at bay, perhaps keeping them in sight. We can't see if they can see them on these straight roads. I think at 35 seconds they should be able to see them here. If we look back at the field, we should be able to see the field. So definitely within sight. Marais on the front for Team Enza Proud Beginners. For my money, he's one of the most aggressive riders in the country. He is always present in the moves, and he is definitely taking it to the other guys right now.
He's like little Jack Russell, always wants to be up there in the front.
Yeah, definitely looking over his shoulders. Wants this breakaway to survive. I think that's why he's trying to increase the impetus. Yeah. Do they have a climber, caliber-wise, that can match Connor Brown or Visser on their team for the finish?
Stephen Van Heeren is probably their best bet in terms of the stage win. But, I mean, the Dimension Data guys we saw yesterday when they ripped the race to pieces up the climb, no one's matching them at the moment. So we'll have to see how it plans out on the final climb. Yeah.
I mean, Dominic Skills, with his results in the Tour de Walloon, Belgian area, Walloon region of Belgium is very undulating, short, sharp, steep climbs. That might be a factor here if this breakaway survives. I mean, if with his 5th place in that race, we know that he can climb. So he's just sitting there. He's not reacting too much right now. He's the last guy on this breakaway group, number 131. Interesting thing about Skills is that his grandfather was Belgian national champion, and they have a bike. We can't see the name of his bike, but his bike is a bike called Skills. His grandfather was Jeff Skills, was Belgian national champion in 1952.
Wow.
And they started their bike shop in Essex. In homage to his dad, they started their bike brand in homage to his granddad, sorry. And so he's what would seem to be a third generation bike racer.
Wow. So it's definitely in the genes.
Definitely in the genes. Yeah, absolutely. Here we've got a short message from Velo Skills coming in.
Yeah, I mean, 2 weeks ago I was racing in Ireland and it was 5 degrees, and yeah, I mean, it's taken a little bit of getting used to, but luckily I was out here for a week before, so just give me a chance to acclimatise, because the altitude as well was obviously pretty tough. Yeah, I think we're up to 1,600 metres today, so the air is like not the nicest to be breathing in, but yeah, it's nice to make the most of the weather as well. It's a good trip for us.
Nice. I think that was James Jobber. James Jobber was in the first group of 11 riders on stage 1. He was one of the riders that made that move of 11 riders on stage 1, the big 175 kilometer stage. He was up there yesterday as well, so he's clearly their strong rider so far in the race. To his left was Dominic Skills. I think it's pronounced Skills, S-C-H. I think it's pronounced that. We might say Shills. It's kind of like schedule or schedule. Yeah. But I think if it's the Belgian way, it would be Skills. So great to have that little blurb from those guys. I know that a number of people have been complaining about the altitude. I spoke with the guys from Reunion, the French team from Reunion, and I said to them, how are you guys liking the tour so far? They had a better day yesterday with more climbing in it than stage 1, and they said, no, better for us, but still altitude is a problem.
Yeah, it does play its roles. I mean, especially coming from sea level, it can definitely affect a rider's performance if they're not acclimatized. So I mean, it's good to see them coming in early, coming in 10 days before, and acclimatizing.
Yeah. With them coming in that early, did they do any sort of local regional races the weekend before?
Not that I'm familiar with.
Not that you're familiar with. I know they came to the Joburg region. And so anyway, this looks like we're coming towards the end of that escarpment as we start to make our long gradual descent back down towards the Tsenin Dam. I think we can see it from our finished position up here at the coach house. There certainly looks to be some glistening water on the horizon and stuff like that, but these guys are still a way away from us. We're at the 1 hour 42 mark into the stage, so just a word on predictions, time predictions. So, on the prediction side of things, we're looking at 3 hours for the stage today. But yesterday and the day before, the peloton has been traveling about 10 to 15 minutes ahead of schedule. Sorry for the bad picture breakup or the fuzzy pictures. The helicopter has taken a break for refueling, so we've lost those pictures for a little bit. We're doing the best that we can, and we should have those pictures coming up. There's a nice shot of our finish line area.
That's the top of the climb.
So
that's what they're racing for today.
Yeah, that's fantastic. The top of the old coach house, and I'm figuring that's going to be around about 80k an hour on that stills image. A little out of focus, but that's what the peloton was hitting down the big KOM descent yesterday. So
very scary, very technical descent yesterday. I had the privilege of being in the chief comm car going down that mountain, and they don't slow down. They try and keep up with the cyclists on the way down. So that was quite an experience.
We just seen some traffic pulled over to the right, and while we were sort of talking about the Team Velo Skills from the UK earlier, I spoke yesterday with Tom Fitzpatrick. He's one of the members of the Team Velo Skills, and I said to him, hey, Tom, give me your pointers on this race, how you feel about this race, what, some criticism, some compliments. Give us an outsider's perspective. And I said, particularly what I'm interested in is how are we doing on road closure? Because we know that we have a public, some of them which are educated and respect the sport of cycling, and some of them who really don't seem to care. And he said, Kurt, it's the same in the UK. He said, you guys are doing a really good job with putting the oncoming traffic to the side, as we see through this picture here with this Pantechnicon, obviously respecting the race. He said, but it's the same in the UK. We've got a good portion of the public that respects the race and is patient enough to give it 5 minutes, let us pass, and then we've got the others who are impatient. So that was a nice blurb coming from Tom Fitzpatrick, that we're doing a pretty good job in South Africa with our rolling road closures.
That's probably one of the biggest challenges race organisers face in South Africa is the road and traffic safety.
Yeah. No, back in the day, and I'm talking 25 plus years ago, when I used to race the 6-day tours, Allied Tour, Boland Bank Tour, and then of course there was the Report Tour and so on. I think that back then the Cycling South Africa, or at least the race promoters of that era, used to enlist the help of the army, because there's no doubt that the general public respect a uniform. You see a uniform and right away you're more inclined to pause and give it time or let them explain to you what they need from you. Whereas, let's face it, anyone can go and buy a yellow vest from, anyone can go and get a yellow vest from the supermarket. So that's where we are, and we'll see what we've got coming on the rest of today's stage.
Luckily for us, we have the road rangers. They're an absolute blessing to road cycling lately, and they look after us. They put their lives on the line, and they're a true blessing.
We've got an interview coming in with Mike Bradley coming up here.
Yeah, we had the 2019 version of the Tour de Limpopo, and I must say it's exceeded expectations this year in terms of the quality of racing. Last year was a fantastic event, but this year the riders just picked it up. The first day, 175 Ks, we had some big breakaways and big groups that stayed away, and I think the international competition here has driven the South African riders to a different level. And I must say it's been absolutely fantastic. We've had full cooperation from all our municipal services and provincial services, and Limpopo Tourism have been out there with us the whole way, and it's an absolute fantastic event so far. And today, we had an unfortunate crash on the route. That's racing, and everybody made it through safe again. And we're looking forward to the next 2 days. I think tomorrow is going to be the one that's going to determine the ultimate finish of the race. And there's a lot on offer. The yellow jersey took strain today, and I think tomorrow he's going to come back very angry to try and regain that. But there's a big climb at the end, and after 100 Ks, that climb is going to count.
And we're back to the racing. We've just got confirmation that the breakaway is a minute ahead of the peloton at the moment. So we should start to see the team cars coming through and offering the riders some assistance in terms of bottles and some nutrition.
Looks like the encouragement from David Maria increased the pace from that 35-second gap, and now they might just be slightly out of sight, out of mind, which is always a help for a breakaway group. They don't act as a visual carrot to chase. So that'll be in their best interests as we move towards the end of the stage here. 1 hour and 47 minutes into the race of today. So they should be roughly, I would imagine, at the 70-kilometer mark, 75k mark perhaps. They should be coming up to an intersection with the R71, which is one of the regional roads. One of the other things I learnt in South Africa is N would be national road, R would be regional road. So the R71, local regional road, which links communities to one another, they'll be coming up to that and going straight across that in a southerly direction through to the area of the Torrental area of the Limpopo region.
What we can start to see here in the peloton is all the teams starting to group together. GC riders probably conserving energy for the final climb. Interesting to see Alpha Bodyworks putting in a bit of an effort here to try and control the race. They must definitely be interested in the stage win in the KOM competition with Harbia Kruger.
Yeah. I was smiling there because I don't know if you saw the Road Ranger got unintentionally hooked by the Dimension Data rider, put into the grass there a little bit. But certainly didn't understand that the guy was coming from the back. But yeah, Alpha Bodyworks looks like 4 or 5 riders up there starting to protect or being interested in protecting their investment in those points of the King of the Mountains jersey.
Yeah, we got Brady Porchita at the back of the bunch from Team Cycle Power. Very experienced rider, ridden for Team MTN Quebec in the past. Now showing his experience and giving some guidance to Team Cycle Power.
Those flashes on his sleeves that would show that he's a former national champion, was he an elite or an under-23 national champion?
Who's that? Bradley Porchita.
Yeah.
No, I don't think he's been a national champion. Yeah.
Interesting. He has the South African flag colours on his sleeve, which made me think that he may have been that before.
Might just be the design of the kit that you can't.
Potentially.
Make
Yeah.
Not quite sure.
You know, talking about the design of kits, I know that Pritson, Mark, has that white jersey for the under-23 national champion.
Yes, Mark Pritson, Office Guru, the current under-23 national champion. A great rider, great youngster, very powerful rider, and I mean, if you look at the GC results at the moment, he's currently sitting in second place, 1 second behind the yellow jersey. So he's definitely interested in today's stage, and we will probably see him up there on the stage results today as well.
Yeah. Now, going back to that, the design of the jerseys, you know, the current national jersey and under-23 jersey is a white jersey with sort of the national stripes and the flag going across the chest. And if you guys have been watching the live coverage over the last 3 days, yesterday and the day before, and then today, of course, what you may have seen, particularly from our helicopter shots, is that we've got 3 teams with predominantly white jerseys. There would be TEG, Dimension Data for Quebec, and ProTouch, predominantly white jerseys with green flashes on, and it makes it very difficult for us to see, particularly helicopter shots and stuff like that. So I do apologize if we've got some names wrong. We don't intentionally want to make the mistakes or look foolish on the air. So, but these are the challenges, and with that being said, I would love to see the national champions jersey being more predominant, kind of like when Robbie Hunter wore it,
Yes,
and when Louis Mankey's wore it, where it was a vertical flag. It was really, you know, I spent 25 years in the United States. I became a U.S. citizen and was fortunate enough to win some national titles there on the track. And the American jersey, no doubt about it, it is in your face. Everyone can tell. You got stars and stripes all over. You are the American national champion. We should, in my opinion, be more proud of our national champion's jersey. It should be a little bit more flamboyant, not as reserved as it is that we might see on Mark Pritson. However, having said that, he is not wearing that jersey today. What jersey is he wearing today?
He's in the best young rider jersey today, so he won't be in his national champion jersey today. He is second on the general classification overall, but quite funny enough, the yellow jersey GC classification is exactly the same for the first 3 positions as the white jersey. So you can see the youngsters coming through, which is quite good to see.
So by the nature of the fact that Mark Pritson is in second place on that best young rider jersey, Alexander Konashev, who leads the overall GC and the best young rider competition, can't wear both jerseys. So he chooses to wear the overall yellow jersey for general classification, which means that the second best under 23 rider, in this case Mark Pritson, wears the white jersey as under 23 rider. So that we can showcase the jerseys on the road, so we can showcase that to our sponsors and get them good coverage. So fantastic. Look at that. We're clearly going down the escarpment now towards the flatter lands and the valleys of the Tsanin Dam.
Funny enough, when I was looking at the results from yesterday's stage, I saw Connor Brown's name had a South African flag next to his name. A name I'm not too familiar with before this tour of Limpopo. So luckily those points from the stage when going, the UCI points for the stage when going to South Africa, but I think he's based out in either New Zealand or Australia.
Yeah, he's clearly, I think, residing somewhere else, but because we don't see him race here that often, but is obviously a citizen by birth. But you know what we just saw, as you were mentioning, that we saw a rider from Pro Kinetic Cycling going to the back of the field with his hand up on the descent, plus minus 60k an hour. Tough time to go back to your car and ask them for service, whether it be nutritional service or be it mechanical. Yeah, I don't think he had a puncture, but we've got a shake-up at the front here. What's going down here?
These are the 5 riders in the breakaway. Possibly someone not happy with the amount of contribution that they're making towards the breakaway. So we can see a few attacks happening.
Looked like Visser and Morer, sort of instigating that move. Louis Visser, who was away earlier, and David Morer from Enza, looks like they were instigating that move. We also had the NCCS rider up there, who is Hermann, the German rider. So Hermann Keller looked like those 3 guys, Morer, Keller, and Visser were the three who sparked another movement, and Skills and Warsdale were the ones who were slightly marooned. They're back on now, but little incidents like this signal. All right, let's take a look at some visuals on team dynamics that occur in stage race riding. All right, we're back to the race, and we're looking at the field in reaction to the breakaway that's up ahead. We got 5 riders away still. Doesn't look like there's too much urgency because we've got the peloton fanned out across the road, but they're not going slowly. They're definitely on about a 3%, 2 to 3% slight downhill grade. A reminder that today's wind is only about 7 kilometers per hour. And it's from the back, so pushing them towards the final climb of the day up the old coach house.
Team Zampara there in the picture, bringing on some much needed nutrition for the day, getting some bottles.
Zampara, that team, where are they out of?
They're locally based, they are South African.
Okay. Out of the Gauteng region?
Yeah, Gauteng. I think they're based in Pretoria, if I'm not mistaken.
Okay. Interesting. I kind of... They've got an interesting jersey. I like the jersey black with some color bars across it. That's the Bahrain jersey on the far right. That yellow jersey with the black shorts. That's the team from Alexander Parsons is on that team. Excuse me, not...
That's a nice shot of David Murray there from Team Enza. Just coming, doing his turn, rolling off to the back of the breakaway.
And excuse me, not Bahrain, Brunei. Bahrain, Brunei. Little tongue twisted there. That's the yellow jersey that we see in the peloton is the Brunei Continental Cycling Team. Alexander Parsons is one of the riders on that team, and Martin Ford as well. So Parsons is one of the South Africans on that team. It's a team made up of multiple nationalities: Belgian, Great Britain, South African, and Greece. Incidentally, the oldest rider in the race is on that Brunei team, and he is Martin Ford. He's 44 years of age and still racing. He's got quite a bit of experience racing in the Far East, incidentally. So that's a team we haven't seen too much of. The Brunei Continental Cycling Team, they're the guys predominantly in the canary yellow jerseys with the black shorts. New time gap at 1 minute and 3 seconds. So it's gone over the minute mark now.
It's gone over the minute mark, but it's still within that 1 minute range. I think the bunch, the peloton, keeping an eye on that gap and keeping it within striking distance. They don't want to let this breakaway roll too far. They're keeping it within sight.
Interesting. So they should be approaching roughly the 80 kilometer mark, I would imagine, at the 2 hour time frame. That would be 40k an hour, maybe a little bit quicker. So we should be passing the hospital on the right, and there should be some speed bumps coming up before we get to the R36 intersection. Again, temperature today, roughly 27 degrees at a maximum temperature. What I've been amazed about, and I wonder if it's part of the region, is the lack of wind here. It's always been about 5 to 7 kilometers an hour. I'm from the Cape Town region. It's always super windy there, or blowing a gust, the southeaster. So I'm like, man, I should move here. There's little wind here. I'd like to ride here.
The riders are probably quite happy there's no wind.
Yeah.
Wind can drastically change a race.
For sure. I like that bike, that Canyon bike with the discs. One of the newer bikes that we see in the peloton there. Disc brake bike for the NCCS rider. Canyon, a nice brand that's made big name for itself in the last 3 or 4 years. They came into the sport about 10 years ago, predominantly in cyclocross. They sponsored the Belgian team, and then they moved across into the pro pelotons on the road and have really made a name for themselves on the road. In fact, and a great mountain biker, a great South African mountain biker in Eric Kleinans is a big a fan of the Canyon bikes. Kleinans, a Cape Epic rider, former national champion, I believe, big advocate for Canyon bikes.
We saw their Team Dimension data controlling the race along with Alpha Bodyworks. We saw their Javier Kruger, who's in the red jersey for today, most aggressive rider from yesterday's stage. Such a diverse athlete, you know. He's come from the road. He's predominantly a mountain bike at the moment, but he's also won the Pole Boxing Day 6-day. No, sorry, not the Pole Boxing Day 6-day. The race in Cape Town.
He's done pretty well. I don't think he's won the Pole Boxing Day, but he's definitely done pretty well at.
I'm sure he has.
He doesn't ride on the track, but he's done really well down there in the Cape region. What I have for him in results was that he won the PE to Plet mountain bike stage race. It's a 4-day stage race. He also finished third in the Knysna Bull mountain bike stage race. So, you know, his caliber as a mountain bike racer is fantastic. The interesting thing or statistic behind HB Kruger for me is that he won the polka dot jersey in the 2019 Tour of Good Hope.
Yeah, that was this year. Yeah,
that was this year.
Beginning of the year.
So that's a climber's jersey that he is currently in contention for in the Tour de Limpopo. But he has also finished third in the Cape Argus in 2014 in a bunch sprint gallop against Nolan Hoffman. So here's a guy who can climb and a guy who can sprint. So you know, but you're right, multiple disciplined rider, and which is great to see, because I love riders who can do multiple disciplines. It in my opinion, it makes you a complete cyclist. You've always got something to gain out of another discipline. If it's not bike handling and mountain biking, it's leg speed work on the track. Going back through the course of time, whether it's international or nationally, we can see our riders have done, Willie Engelbrecht, Andrew McLean, the Volater brothers, Graham Cockerton, any of those guys track and road back in the day. But now we've got HB Kruger, mountain bike and road. Looks like things are hotting up here with the field getting into a longer line, and these guys definitely upping the pace. Everyone more or less in the hooks. In the drops, committed now. Dominic Skills on the back there. Looks pretty smooth though. Looks very smooth. We're going to come right back after this chat with Team Office Guru Racing.
So the past 2 days have been great for us as a team. I mean, racing obviously against the likes of Dimension Data, Continental. I mean, we have got our objectives to try and win the tour, but they are showing themselves as a strong team, as well as TEG and Pro Touch Continental. So far, the organisation of the tour has been brilliant. So hats off to the organisation crew. It's been brilliant. The routes have been good, nice and challenging, nice long stage yesterday, clear roads, no issues with the cars. Same thing today. Nice hard stage with going over the back of Machuberskloof Pass, and then a nice fun descent down back into Dzanine. So far as a team, we're sitting nice strong position. I'm not too sure on the final results yet, but it looks like we're sitting in third on GC with Mark Pritson here to my left, and myself Ty on fourth, 2-3 seconds down behind then. So overall we're sitting in a nice strong position, and obviously we're going to take the race to the guys tomorrow and the rest of the tour.
That was Dylan Girdleston from Team Office Guru. Got lots of experience behind him. He has raced for quite a few pro teams in the past, MTN, Quebecer. He's raced for Drapac and also stagiaired for Team Garmin Sharp in the past as well. He offers quite a lot of experience to the youngsters on Team Office Guru, so a great athlete. And he's also up there on GC. He's currently in 5th place, 7 seconds behind the yellow jersey. So when the fireworks start to happen up the last climb, I'm pretty sure we'll see him right up there. Team TEG on the back, that's Brandon Downs, winner of the 94.7 last year in 2018. Bradley Porchita still at the back there, probably pretty relaxed. When the climb starts, you'll probably see him also drift more towards the front of the bunch, but we'll see what happens when the climb starts. If you're looking at that shot there, we can see this is obviously the main peloton up the road. There looks like there could be another group trying to bridge across to the breakaway riders, or it might be the group reeling these riders in. So just waiting for confirmation on that. It looks like David Marais putting in a few attacks, trying to get away from this breakaway group.
Yeah, David Marais is a fantastic rider and super aggressive rider. It's, I mean, you can't put him in a race and not get excited about how the race unfolds. He's always attacking, always trying to create a story in the race. A Namibian rider, number 85, Danzel Sekou, age 26. Nice to see a shot of him in the field. 2 hours into the race, predicted stage finish around about the 3-hour mark.
Team Dimension Data and Alpha Bodyworks still controlling at the front. You can see the green jersey of Jason Oosthuizen from TEG also there just behind the Alpha Bodyworks guys, keeping an eye on the front of the race. 2 Pro Touch riders just behind Jason, so it's good to see the main contenders coming to the front of the race and keeping an eye on what's happening.
Very nice, very nice. Jason Oosthuizen in the green jersey. He's rider number 41. That's a confirmation, as we mentioned earlier, that there's no hotspot sprints. That's Jason there in about 10th position from the helicopter shot. There's no hotspot sprints today, so he will keep that jersey through the evening. And tomorrow, different story. Stage 4, Tour de Limpopo. The hotspot sprint comes after the mega climb, and of course there'll be points on the finish. So we'll see how it pans out tomorrow.
Jason Oosthuizen, a great talent as well. I mean, he's been a junior national champion on the time trial and the road events. Last year he was the under 23 national champion. So definitely a talented athlete coming through the ranks. Back to the breakaway. This is office guru Alex Vorsdale putting in a big effort here. It's interesting to see how this is planning out. I mean, David Marais putting in a few attacks. Probably not happy with the workload from 1 or 2 of the guys, but it's interesting to see what's happening up there.
I'm expecting the fact that Marais is spending so much energy, possibly more than the others, by the fact that he keeps doing these little punches which instigate the increase in pace. He's spending so much energy forcing the chase from Dimension Data and Alpha Bodyworks. He's there solely to set up Steven van Heerden for a stage finish.
Yeah, you might be right. Yeah, once the GC contenders start to put the hammer down on the final climb, that's the race is going to go to absolute pieces, and there's going to be riders all over the place. So to get a head start and be up the road racing from the breakaway is kind of an advantage when your GC contenders ride across. So that's probably the tactic of David at the moment.
Nice. Well, I'm just getting some confirmation on my WhatsApp message actually from a friend of mine, Tim Cock. He's been involved with this race before, and he's just sent me some confirmation that in fact, Miles, you were correct, and I apologize for my mistake. HB Kruger did win Pile Boxing Day in 2017 from David Marais. He borrowed a bike and he broke away. He was not a favorite for that day, and as a result, the favorites let him go, and he lapped the field, and then sat in, and he had he put his name on that trophy. So you were right. My apologies. There, 3-time disciplined rider, track, road, and mountain bike. Fantastic.
Shows his diversity, an incredible athlete.
Yep. Thanks, Tim, for those stats and for the correction. Much appreciated. Tim Cock sat in with him at the Road Nationals and did a little commentary there on the women's road race. Tim Cock, another rider, multi-disciplined rider, track and road, and out of the Gauteng area.
We just got confirmation that the gap to the breakaway and the peloton has come down, so they are within sight. So you can see the pace of the peloton really increasing, and that gap is coming down to the breakaway. It's interesting to see if they actually are going to close it completely, or if they're going to just let those 5 riders hang out for a little bit longer.
Yeah, so
it looks like Herman Keller has had enough for the day. He's dropped off 20 seconds. So this is obviously, I think the peloton are putting in a big effort here, and the guys in the breakaway are realizing that they're about to be caught. So they're putting in David Murray putting in a big effort just to try and stay away that extra bit longer.
Yeah, and they're definitely going uphill. You can tell by Mueller's pace with that camera shot from the helicopter that he's resigned, and they're definitely going uphill. But Moreira, he just doesn't give up. I've seen him be in a breakaway where it's come down to maybe 5 seconds and go again and increase it again, you know. He's the bulldog who won't let go of the stick, you know. It's fantastic, exciting to watch. Love watching him. And his breakaway companion as well also sees fit that they shouldn't give up just yet.
Alex from Office Guru, he's improved a lot over the past year, really upped his game. I mean, you can see if you go back to the results from the Tour of Good Hope, you can see he has played a vital role in the success of the Office Guru team this year, and you can see that Office Guru have improved. I mean, over the last year, they've really showed their dominance this year, winning a couple of races, and Dylan Girdleston, the team captain, really showing his guidance, and he's a good captain for the team.
Yeah, nice. They're on those SRT bikes.
Yes.
That's the bikes that the Office Guru guys use, those black SRT bikes, very stealth-looking machine. While David Moreira is on the new kind of disc brakes, those guys still opting to ride the slightly lighter rim-braked SRT bikes. Nice to see them there. There's a better shot of that. And number 66, Warsdale, and the rider behind him in the navy blue and the yellow writing, the Enza writing, that is David Moreira. So those riders in the distance there, you can see, and those mountains, that where the helicopter is, those mountains which looks very similar to the amphitheater of the Drakensberg, that's where we are near, and that's where we are heading towards. So the rider's definitely heading in that southwesterly direction now towards the mountains. They can't be that far away. There's going to be a right-hand turn onto the old Coach House Road, and that starts the climb in earnest, 5 kilometers long, 400 meters of vertical elevation. That's going to be coming up fairly shortly. Remember that the stage is 103 kilometers long, and the climb starts at about the 98 kilometer mark. At this point though, it's quite undulating and slightly going uphill if you had to look at the profile, but there's no more downhills once we get to the 5 kilometer to go mark. But these guys definitely committed now, Miles.
Alex and David putting in an equal amount of work, definitely committed in trying to stay away and get as far ahead up the road as they can. The other 3 riders, I'm guessing, have been swallowed up by the peloton. But David and Alex out front there putting in a big effort to get to the climb first.
And that is the right-hand bend, if I'm not mistaken.
Is that the start of the climb?
It could be. I just want to check my race Bible, but that is the right-hand bend onto Old Coach House Road. It was scheduled for us to get there at 11:20. It's about 11:13. That is definitely the turn right onto Old Coach House Road in a westerly direction. And so this would be the start of the climb.
This is exciting. This is where we're going to see the GC riders come to the front and the racing start to happen.
There we go. We can start to see the gradient, and it is a consistent gradient. In the last kilometer, it goes even sharper. If you're a rider out of the Cape region and you've ridden up to the Taal Monument in Paarl, I know many riders who've done the Tour de Good Hope, it's that kind of steepness to it. In fact, you can just look at it at the pace of these guys. They're going not much faster than running pace. It is very steep. We drove up this climb earlier this morning to the beautiful venue here.
You can see by their cadence just how steep it is. Their cadence probably not much over 60 or 70
Yeah.
RPM.
Yeah. So 19 teams of 6 riders. There's about 114 riders in the race. We lost one with Orion Craig yesterday in that crash. The peloton doesn't look 114 strong at this point.
There we go. We can see riders starting to pop off the back. I think that was Ruan Deploy going off the back there from Team Pro Touch. Yeah, that's the race absolutely going to pieces now. You can see the Dimension Data guys obviously putting in a big effort there in the front, and this is splitting the race up a lot.
Jason Oosthuizen just looking over his shoulder as he dropped back there in the green jersey. No worries for him if that's his focus for competition. But now that minute mark coming down, and we see the white jerseys of Dimension Data definitely starting to
David
reel them in.
Murray, yeah, you can see David putting in a big effort, yeah, putting some daylight between him and himself and Alex. But you can see the bunch is coming up quite fast behind him.
And I'm looking for that red jersey of HB Kruger. I think it's peeking out there just around the corner. That definitely is him in about the top 15, and he'll be looking to limit his losses at this point.
Wow, look at this. Dimension Data putting in a big effort. You can see Clint Hendricks on the back there for Team Pro Touch. Also Ken Main there on the left of the screen. You can see, so the race absolutely splitting up now. I'm interested to see where Dylan Girdlestone is at the moment, because he's in contention for the general classification. Alex should be there trying to help him to get across to this front move.
And that's Sam Mugisha, who's the Rwandan rider on Dimension Data for Quebec. He's doing the majority of the pace setting right here.
Absolutely riding this race to pieces.
The former tour winner of Rwanda last year.
Showing his dominance up the climbs now.
Fantastic. And we've got in third place Connor Brown in the King of the Mountains jersey. Who is that Pro Touch rider there?
That's Ken Main at the moment. So he's right up there on the general classification. He's 9 seconds down on the yellow jersey, currently in 6th position. So Ken Main showing that he can climb with the boys here.
Boy, but the Dimension Data is trying to shake free the riders. That's why they're moving from left to right. They're trying to shake free the other sort of hangers on. But look at that.
Yeah,
Clint Hendricks is also there.
Clint Hendricks showing some good form up the climb here. I know the team did come and do some recon about 2 weeks ago, so they are familiar with the climb. What's interesting to see is I think that's an Office Guru rider, so that could be Dylan Girdlestone in the front move here, which is good for him as well. 7 seconds behind the yellow jersey on the general classification.
And a Benediction rider who's sitting currently in 4th wheel. So we've got 2 Pro Touch riders, and we've got obviously the multiple guys from Dimension Data, but we have a Team Benediction rider there as well in 4th place. So predominantly white jerseys here. You can see why it's a little hard for us to call sometimes. We've got obviously the white jersey with the polka dots of the King of the Mountains. That's Connor Brown on the front. We've got a couple of white jerseys from Pro Touch. We've got another white jersey of Team Benediction. White jerseys make sense in hot regions. They're cooler, but hard for us to call. And then the Office Guru Racing rider. Yeah. Someone else might be coming back as well.
You can see Samuel dropping off there, done his work for the day. But if this front group now 5 riders strong. We have Dimension Data, Pro Touch, and Office Guru in the front move here.
How steep is this? And
wow,
this is the remnants.
Yeah, this is the back of the group. You can see this is where the effort is actually being told, and the story's been told how hard this climb actually is.
Yeah, that looks like Ruan Depoy, the big man, Ruan Depoy going back there. He was in earlier moves today. He definitely spent some energy. Pro Kinetic Cycling, those guys in the red and blue striped jerseys, they're also going backwards a little bit there.
Wow, look at this. This is in absolute pieces.
Yeah. No, people paying the price today. This is a skills rider on the black and the yellow jersey. Another Pro Kinetic Pro Cycling rider dropping back. So the destruction is happening up front. People are imploding all over the mountain as we make our way to the finish of the stage at the old coach house. 5 kilometer climb, 400 meters of vertical gain at the end of the stage, and we're definitely seeing a shake-up in jerseys, and we're definitely seeing a shake-up in GC results. 6 riders
strong now. I would like to get confirmation if that is actually Dylan Girdlestone. That riding style doesn't seem to be like him, but I'm sure in terms of ability that could be Dylan Girdlestone.
So the yellow jersey, which is on the back of Alexander Konashev, he is a Dimension Data for Quebecer rider. He is not in this front group, but we knew all along, and we talked about this earlier in the stage, that He probably took the jersey yesterday. Nice to have on his shoulders, but it's probably going to be passed on to his teammate Connor Brown, who is also in the King of the Mountains jersey. So Connor Brown possibly going to solidify or garner more points in that polka dot jersey and transition into the yellow jersey by the end of today's stage.
We saw the yellow jersey doing quite a bit of work early on in the stage to bring back that breakaway. So he was obviously being realistic with himself, knowing that he can't go up this climb with the proper climbers. So that's why he's probably sacrificing himself for Connor Brown.
Yeah, and in all fairness, his father, and genetics definitely, there's some truth to it. His father was a fantastic sprinter, Dmitry Konashev. So, definitely not going to be a rider focused on the climbs, more of a workhorse today, setting up his teammate Connor Brown.
I saw in the distance there an Alpha Bodywork rider trying to ride across to this move. Could that be Javier Kruger? We're not quite sure. I couldn't see exactly how far behind he was, but it looked like he was putting in a good effort to try and ride across to this front six.
Fantastic.
Ken Main rolling through there from Team Pro Touch. He's got all interest in riding for the general classification. Connor Brown coming through. He's the highest placed rider on the general classification at the moment, so he might be looking at a yellow jersey at the end of today.
So we've got leaders, just to give you an idea of the leaders here. We've got Sam Mugisha, that's number 15 for Dimension Data for Quebec. He's up here. We've got Connor Brown, number 11, also in the King of the Mountains jersey. He is up here. We've got rider number 6, Kent Main from Team Pro Touch Continental. He's up here. We've got rider number 12, Samuel Battistella from Italy, also Dimension Data for Quebec. He's up here as well. We've got rider number 34. He is the Benediction Cycling Team rider from Rwanda. That it would be Eric Manazabeo. Trying to get my tongue around that. And then we've also got rider number 65, which is Andrew Edwards from Team Office Guru Racing.
There we go. So that's confirmation of the Office Guru rider, Andrew Edwards.
What can you tell us of him?
Andrew Edwards?
Yeah,
he's a great climber, very, very skinny guy. So, I mean, he's known to go uphill quite fast. He did win a stage at this race last year, so maybe this might be his day.
Nice. Roughly how old is he? I don't know much about Andrew.
I think he might be in his last year under 23, but he could be in his first year elite. Not exactly sure.
Okay, so if he is last year under 23, he could potentially be moving his way up into contention for the white jersey.
He could.
Not taking the white jersey, but because we know Connor Brown's got that, but moving himself onto perhaps the podium of the white jersey. Nice shot of Jason Oosthuizen there in the green points jersey.
Someone we don't see in this group is Mark Pritson from Team Office Guru, who's currently in second on GC and second in the white jersey. So someone that hasn't made this move, but you can see I think they're starting to play some games. Yeah, the pace looks high, but they were looking at each other early on, and it looks like 3 guys have gone ahead. Ken Main there in the front, and it looks like a Benediction rider and a Dimension Data rider. Yeah, in the first 3 guys.
Sure. So people are definitely in dribs and drabs all over this mountain. This looks like it could be Brunei rider in the yellow jersey just up ahead of us, and rider number 51. He's definitely taking strain from France, Julien Jacques Foch. In fact, he's from the Reunion Island. So rider number 51 from Club Cycliste Saint-Louisien. Maybe he's listed as a French nationality, but that is because Reunion is tied to French nation, speaking wise at least.
And it looks like we're down to 2 riders there in front, Kent Main and I think Connor Brown, 2 guys riding up ahead. The Benediction rider getting dropped. Looks like he's making his way back to the front 2 guys.
Yeah, pity we missed that attack, but certainly that separation was caused by an increase in pace. The Benediction rider looking to fight back. But that's Jobber, I believe, 135. That is going to be the guy from the skills team we've seen active for that team in the past couple of days, James Jobber. He's on the mountain, not far back from the leaders as well.
And the Benediction rider has made his way back. So now there's 3 guys in front. We might see a couple of riders ride themselves back to these to the front 3 guys.
James Jobber, definitely the guy for Team Skills, the leader for them on time standards and on the road. So now they come around this left-hand corner.
They must be quite close.
They're pretty close because you'll be actually be able to see them. Our still shot from the finish line is going to pick these guys up as they come around this long sweeping left-hand corner. We're up towards the right-hand side of this mountain. It's hard to see because there's a lot of trees, macadamia nut plantations and stuff. So from the bottom, you're probably not going to pick up our location, but we do have a stills cameraman at the finish line who's going to look down the mountain, and he's probably going to be able to pick up the last 2K of this climb as we start to see the guys get a little bit above tree line in terms of topography.
That's Travis Barrett from Office Guru putting in a big effort to try and ride his way back up the climb to a group up ahead.
Wow, and 186 is Alan Gordon doing great things for the local team Limpopo. He's a 29-year-old rider. He's definitely going to make the time cut. Great to see a regional rider like him doing so well. Fantastic job, Alan Gordon.
I don't think that is Connor Brown up front for Dimension Data, because Connor Brown is in the King of the Mountains jersey.
He is in the King of the Mountains jersey, yeah. So that looks to be like rider number 12, which is going to be Samuel Battistella from Italy. So Battistella is there from Italy. Kent Main is there for Pro Touch.
For Team Pro Touch. Kent is the highest placed rider on GC at the moment, so he might be looking at a yellow jersey at the end of the stage.
Very interesting. Jason Oste is number 41 in the green jersey, doing his best to pace himself. He doesn't want to spend up too much energy today because he wants to try and defend that jersey tomorrow.
No points up for grabs in the green jersey today, so he'll start tomorrow in the green jersey.
Riding there with Clint Hendricks, I believe, rider number 1. Nice number to have. Doesn't mean much in the grand scheme of things, but when you put a number 1 on, you always feel a little special.
Lots of pressure.
Yeah, right.
So we're back with the front three. Benediction, Pro Touch and Dimension Data. Those are the three teams that we see here up front. Kent Main rolling through there, putting in his work. You can actually see how steep this climb is there.
I wonder if the pace setting of Connor Brown was perhaps a little premature, or if he was setting Sam Battistella up for the stage victory.
The last kilometer of this climb is quite brutal. It goes to about 10-12%. So it's going to be the person who can hold the effort until the finish line who's going to take the stage.
So that sweeping left-hand corner that we just saw, that's about maybe, it's under 2K to go at that point, and they're starting to make their way towards the finish line. But we saw Connor Brown, the King of the Mountains jersey wearer, the rider from Dimension Data for Quebec, setting the pace earlier at the bottom of the climb. Took the peloton from about maybe 40 riders down to 20 riders down to 10. Then there were 5, and it seemed as though there were 5 for a little while, and now there's 3. You can see there's a chase of 2 riders, perhaps 20 seconds back, and it's shattered.
That was a beautiful shot of them coming up the climb.
Yeah, nice shot with the helicopter there as well. So interesting to see what's happening there. 3 riders ahead of those team vehicles, 2 riders back from them, maybe 20 seconds down. Then a lone rider, another 2 riders there.
I think an attack's going up there ahead. Or they're just switching sides of the road.
Probably just switching sides of the road.
I wonder if those 2 riders just behind these 3 are going to make it back. It's going to be interesting to see.
It will be interesting because there is a right-hand switchback coming up. Oh, that shot, you just missed our location at the finish. But they're going to move towards the bottom of your screen around the left-hand sweeper, and then they've got a right-hand switchback, and then it gets incredibly steep today. But hand grenade has been thrown on this mountain today. People are coming in dribs and drabs, shattered all over the place, and the time gaps are starting to increase. Those 3 guys, that's the team lead, that is the race leaders rather, on the road.
This is a little back down the mountain. Then they're the front 3. Ken Main, Team Pro Touch. We've got Samuel there for Dimension Data and Team Benediction.
And there's our finish line up at the top there. You can just see the white sort of cars dotted and the tents dotted up there at the top. That is where we are located.
Ken Main voicing some frustration there, telling the riders to go through.
This is nice for Pro Touch because they've been off of the jerseys and kind of away from the limelight after yesterday. So nice to have that team, and I know they're close to your hearts, but nice to have that team factor in for a podium today?
Definitely. I think they've analysed the race and the route, and they've really understood where the race is going to come down, and what's the most important stages and sections of the route.
This is Mark.
This is Mark Pritson.
Yeah, Mark Pritson in the white jersey as the best, or the second best in this case,
with
under
Dylan
23
Girdleston.
rider. So he's got a team leader there who's trying to pace him back. So, and they just out of shot would be HB Kruger in the red jersey for most aggressive rider yesterday. It'll be interesting to see who gets that today. I think it might be David Moreira.
Yeah, definitely. I think that's a good guess. So out on the road, I think there's 3 out in front, then there's 2 chasing the 3 in front, and then that was Mark Pritson's group. I think that's how the race situation is at the moment. There we go, Ken Main putting in a big effort. I think he wants to win the stage.
This will be very interesting to see. It'll be, it'll put them on the board, but Team Benediction, let's not
count them out for the stage win.
Yeah, let's not count them out. Those guys.
Racing really, oh, there we go. I think his Team Benediction, I think he's off the back now, if I'm not mistaken. That
Eric Manazebe.
That effort from Ken Main putting him under pressure. So now there's 2 up in front. Yeah, Dylan Girdleston doing some hard work for Mark Pritson. And it's Dimension Data versus Pro Touch at the moment out in front. They very close to the finish line now.
Well, you can see Pritson and them are further down the mountain. You can see how much quicker they're riding. These guys are getting to the steep part, and they're approaching that right-hand switchback. And once they get around that right-hand switchback, that is it. It gets incredibly steep.
Is that the final corner?
Yeah, that's the final corner.
So that's the final corner up to the finish.
Yeah, so these guys are going pretty good, actually, as they approach the right-hand switchback. It's just up ahead, but look at this. You can see this is steep. This is steep. The BMC rider, Dimension Data BMC rider for Quebecer, he looks pretty calm, looks pretty cool,
and
actually.
That's the final corner up to the finich.
Yeah. We're not much more than 200-300 meters away from that. Not going to be your sort of 12-second, 13-second, 200-meter finish that we used to on a flat stage. It's
the
going to
lull
take
in
a
the
little
pace
longer.
from Kent and Samuels actually allowed the Benediction rider to almost come back in contact. I wouldn't count him out just yet. There we go, and he's back on. We back to 3 out in front. This is going to be interesting.
And he's back off.
Kent putting in another massive attack here. Yeah. You can see, just from that effort, you can see how steep the climb is.
Yeah, no, it's that U-turn sign is 200 meters, maybe even less from the finish line. So it's going to definitely be between Kent Main and Samuel Battistella for the finish.
The Dimension Data riding this climb a little bit more smart. He hasn't put in a big effort just yet, but I think Kent was trying to get rid of him before the finish. There we go, and he rolls through, the Dimension Data rider.
And it's difficult because
and there we go.
They're probably at 100 meters to go.
They've opened up for the sprint.
Yep.
And Yago Samuel, Dimension Data rider, putting some daylight in between himself and Ken Main. And I think he's going to take the stage. There we go. That's
Samuel
the finish line approaching.
Battistella.
And Samuel takes the stage win. Ken Main in second place. I think that's the yellow jersey for Kent.
That's nice job. Samuel Battistella, rider number 12 from Dimension Data for Quebecer. He gets the stage win. That's 2 stage wins in a row for Dimension Data. But Kent Main, that's a nice result for him as well.
Yeah.
For coming second across the line there.
That possibly might be a yellow jersey for Team Pro Touch this evening.
And Eric Manazabeo, rider number 34 from Benediction Cycling, coming there in 3rd place.
Brilliant. Yeah, we see Mark Pritson approaching the finish line with his teammate Dylan Girdleston. So a big effort being put in here by Mark, trying to limit his losses in the general classification. The ACDC Lusa rider, they also on the wheel. But now it's just about survival and getting to the finish. You can see there goes Gustav Besson just past our screen. And here comes Mark Pritson. Brilliant ride. You can see on the face there of Gustav Besson, you can actually see exactly the effort he's put in to get to the top of this mountain. But a great day. Absolutely great day. It was. The GC has been turned upside down. I think confirmation from that will come through shortly. And here's the rest of the peloton making their way up the mountain. Javier Kruger, there we go. We see him approach the finish line. The red jersey from yesterday, most aggressive rider. Steven van Heerden from Team Enza also approaching the finish. You can see from these riders coming up the mountain just exactly how fast Dimension Data set the pace, and how the peloton completely exploded going up this climb. Team Benediction behind Stephen. There you can just see the effort Stephen's putting in to get to the finish. Clint Hendricks making his way up the mountain. Probably did a lot of work for his teammate Kent Main to get up the climb and get second on the stage. But I think that's a yellow jersey for Team Pro Touch tonight. Depending on how much time Samuel put into Kent on the finish would determine who has the jersey, but it actually might be very close. There we go, the team cars coming through. Samuel might be our overall leader tonight. Ken Main at the start of the stage was in 6th place, 9 seconds behind the yellow jersey. Samuel was in 7th place, 11 seconds behind the yellow jersey. So it's going to be interesting to see just exactly what happens in terms of the GC. Jan from Team Sampado coming through there. Green jersey of Jason Oosthuizen, that will stay on his shoulders tonight, and he'll start in the green jersey tomorrow. We see Brandon Downs crossing the finish line now. Almost. There we go there. Confirmation of results. There we go. Samuel from Team Dimension Data taking the stage win behind Kent Main. Eric in 3rd place from Team Benediction. Connor Brown, Team Dimension Data in 4th. Samuel also from Team Dimension Data. Gustav Passon in 6th place, Mark Pritson 7th, Dylan Girdlestone in 8th, Nagiri in 9th, and Andrew Edwards rounding off the top 10. Looking at those time gaps, you can just see how hard the race is, how hard the race was going up this final climb. And David Murray, the very aggressive rider who was in the breakaway today, you can see him coming up the mountain there, completely finished. There comes Calvin Bienica. We're going to cross over to Kirk now, who's going to interview the stage winner.
Well, I'm here today at the finish line with the Italian rider Samuel Battistella for Dimension Data for Quebec. He just won the stage 3 at the Tour de Limpopo. Samuel, how did it go for you today?
The sensation was not good at the beginning of the stage, because yesterday and the day before I pushed a lot for Konishev and Konno. But today the plan of the team was to take the climb from the beginning full gas, and after see how many riders stay in my wheels, I tried to attack a few times, but two riders resist in my wheels, so I hope I did the sprint because I'm also fast, and hold on, the race went good, so I'm happy for the victory.
On the lower slopes, we saw Connor Brown, the King of the Mountains jersey wearer, and your teammates setting a pace. Was it his plan to set you up for the stage win, or did it just end up going that way?
Sorry, can you repeat that?
Your teammate Connor Brown from King of the Mountains jersey, he set the pace at the bottom of the climb. It looked like he might be going for the stage, but then you surpassed him. Was he setting you up for the stage finish, or was there a plan that was the attack?
It was my last man. So his work was take the climb and go full gas. But also Sammy did a very great job because he take the climb from the beginning, and so I have one more man for the climb. So very great job of the team today.
Fantastic. You're from Italy. There's lots of mountains in Italy. Yeah. This climb up to the old coach house is steep in the final. How does it compare to the climbs in your home?
Yeah, the difficult of this climb is it's all on the sun, so it's very hot. Near my home, I stay near the Monte Grappa. It's a very big hill, and this climb it's very good for training for the race. So very great job, Tour of Limpopo.
Fantastic. You're a stage winner, Stage 3 Tour de Limpopo. That's a great result for your team. 2 stages in a row. Fantastic job. Thank you so much.
Thank you. I say my English is not good because I'm from Italy, but I hope everybody understands me.
It's great to have you here. Thank you very much. That's it with the stage winner, Stage 3 Tour de Limpopo. Thanks for tuning in today. Tune back in tomorrow for more highlights of the stages.
Come and experience the elegance of the Coach House Hotel and Spa, a proud member of the Orion Hotel Group. The Coach House Hotel and Spa offers world-class hospitality combined with luxurious comfort in one of South Africa's most tranquil settings. The Coach House is perfectly positioned to offer our guests the chance to explore this lush subtropical region steeped in history. After a day of exploring, retreat to the sanctuary and comfort of this iconic hotel. The hotel features an indoor and outdoor pool, the elegant Sorala Lounge, manicured gardens with walking trails, perfect for escaping the hustle and bustle of city life. After a day of activities, guests can retire to comfortable rooms featuring stunning views, elegant decor, and inviting fireplaces. The deluxe rooms are spacious and decorated in an elegant colonial style. The suites are spacious and offer guests maximum comfort. Enjoy homemade dining at the Zederberg restaurant, known for its impeccable fare, fine wines, and friendly service. Dine in elegant ambience or have pre-dinner drinks at the historic and inviting John Buchan pub, lavishly decorated with heirlooms from the past. The Coach House Hotel and Spa is the perfect venue if you're planning a conference, wedding, or event. Fully equipped with an impressive selection of facilities, the staff pride themselves in doing whatever is necessary to make your event a triumph. Whether it is a large or intimate wedding, the Coach House Hotel and Spa have wedding organizers to suit, with an elegant variety of venues that will turn your dreams into a reality. Rejuvenate at the Coach House Spa, fully equipped with a gym, pool, and sauna. Guests can enjoy a treatment that melts away the stress of everyday life. To find out more about this elegant retreat, please visit www.coachhousehotel.co.za.